Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Actress and comedian Kym Whitley cracks up the DC Comedy Loft for a run of 5 shows this weekend in the nation's capital. She joined me to reflect on her career from Next Friday to Curb Your Enthusiasm to Master of None, as well as her award-winning podcast, Two Funny Mamas with Sherry Shepherd. Hey, Kym Whitley. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on WTOP in Washington, D.C.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I think there's some more snow coming. I think you brought the snow when you came here, but why'd you have to bring the snow? Come on.
Wait a minute.
I'm
Hold up.
blaming you.
How am I coming from Los Angeles and bringing snow to DC? Come on. Los
It doesn't
Angeles?
quite work, does it?
No. I was like, global warming is bad, but it's not that bad.
You bring that sunny snow. No, but I'm glad you made it in safe. And like I said, 5 shows at the DC Comedy Loft throughout the weekend. So yeah, well, I mean, if we have big fans of yours coming out to the show, what sort of stuff what sort of material do you tackle? I don't want to give away any punchlines. I'm going to spoil it, obviously, but what sort of topics do we go into?
Oh, first of all, I love your voice. It's cracking me up. It's a radio voice. I love it. I really enjoy just having a good time with people, but I talk about relationships. I talk about getting older. I talk about my son, and I am sometimes I used to be an improv comic that I did just improv, never did the same set. So sometimes I bring that in. You might have seen Curb Your Enthusiasm when I played the prostitute. And that's all an improv show. So I love improv. I love dealing with the audience. So it's going to be just fun. That's what I like to have fun. But think about that. Going on stage every weekend, we do jokes, doing the same thing, it really gets boring.
Well, I'm glad you're mixing it up. And then when you come to DC, do you feel like you have to weave in any, DC type, politic type joke, or do you kind of stay away from that stuff, or what's sort of your philosophy?
My philosophy is I kind of stay away from politics because unless something is happening right then and there, something that I have to talk about, but I kind of stay away from it. And I used to live in DC, so I don't feel the need except to say the things that I miss about DC. I'm actually love DC. DC has always been like a romantic city to me for some reason, and I just enjoyed it. I used to live on Georgia Avenue across from Walter Reed Hospital, but I heard that's gone now. I heard they took that away.
They did like the campus is there, and I think there's some buildings that I think they use it for like music festivals or art festivals or like the abandoned building. But what was it called? The BRAC, like the base realignment, something. They took a bunch of them and combined a bunch of them in NIH and all that stuff. So I think it's over near Bethesda now. But wait a minute. So what were you doing when you were living over in Georgia Avenue? Why were you living in DC?
So I just graduated from college. My brothers were still at Howard. And so I was helping my brother sell T-shirts over at Howard. That's just what a college student should do. I graduated, came right to DC, helped my brother. My mother was like, go get a life, get your career together. And a bunch of us lived in this house on, I think the steps are still red and white. We painted the steps red and white. And can you believe every time I go by there, they're still red and white.
So you literally painted the town red.
I did.
And white.
I did.
That's hilarious. But wait a minute. So wait, what college? So I know you, you were born in Ohio, but so you're saying you graduated a different college and then moved to DC where your brothers were going to Howard. So what college were you at?
I was in Nashville at Fisk University, and my brothers were at Howard. Well, my one brother was at Cornell, and then he moved over to Howard. So we were all over the place. And but we all loved DC. We all ended up in DC together. And then I was the first to leave, and I went out west to Los Angeles. So that's how that went.
Gotcha. Were you always into comedy and stand-up and everything? Like who were your goats when you were growing up watching either comedians or actors or
Right. Well, this is gonna sound real old, but I was very young, and the movie Harlem Nights had just been coming. It was coming out, and I was on the set with Eddie Murphy and Red Fox, Ronaldo Ray, and Richard Pryor. And I was on the set because I was the guardian to the little boy in the movie. So I just remember walking around the set, having fun, being funny. And Red Fox said to me, he said, "Hey, you're really funny. And I'm tired of seeing these ugly, you know what he said, women trying to be funny." He said, "Get 10 minutes of material together and I'm gonna help you out." Well, come on. In the beginning, 10 minutes is like an hour. You're like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's Red Fox and you had heard stories. And I was like, oh, okay. But I missed the opportunity. And that's when I decided to go out after when he passed away. I said, let me get my stuff together. I did that. I remember seeing Whoopi Goldberg doing her HBO special with all those characters. I was like, this is amazing. So we look at people like that. Marsha Warfield, she was on Night Court. So, you look at people, then you look at your peers, Wanda Sykes, people like that.
Also from
Look,
DC.
there you go. Also from DC, Sherry Shepard. You look at your friends, they were a little ahead of me doing the stand-up part. I was doing the acting part. And then I said, you know what? I like making people laugh. So I started going on stage.
Well, you kind of combine the two, the stand-up and the acting, into a bunch of sitcoms and TV shows that a lot of us, probably grew up watching. I mean, Moesha and My Wife and Kids
Mhm.
and Two Broke Girls and That's So Raven, and the list goes on and on. Tell me about sort of that early period, because I want to get to, Curb Your Enthusiasm and Master of None and stuff like that in a minute. But those early, like, 90s sitcoms that a lot of us grew up on. Do you have a particular, favorite role from that era?
You know, I really did like the Parkers. I played Flirty Gurdy, and I was in the church, always in the church. I was the organist. That is a lot of people come to me and say, "Weren't you in the Parkers?" And, that was fun, just good times back then. Did a lot of My Wife and Kids was fun because Damon Wayans, he would go off script. And like I said, I love to improv, but he was better than me. So he would start talking about me, I'd start talking about him, and then I just quit. I just quit. I said, okay, you win.
Oh man, Damon Wayans is just a genius. Hilarious. Well, so
He
you're saying you're
absolutely,
sort of improving with him, but then you also, you mentioned it earlier, a little more recently, Curb Your Enthusiasm. That a lot of the way Larry David, remind us how he works. Like a lot of that isn't on the page, right? Isn't there a lot of free flowing that goes on that set?
that is what it is. Larry David, of course, another genius who made a show and put comedians and great actors in it. And what he does is he gives you the scene, and he'll give you a paragraph. You read it. It says, I played Moesha, not Moesha, Monina, who was, a prostitute, and he needed to get to the Dodger Stadium, and the page might have said something like, going to it might have said something like, he's going to pick you up, you're going to the ballpark, um you're going to look for some tickets, and then the last line is blah 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 blah. So that whole scene, we're filling in the words,
Right.
and we'll bust out laughing in the scene, and then Larry will say, okay, that was funny, let's do that again. So it was definitely one of my favorite things that I've done.
Oh yeah, I mean Larry David was great at the scripted stuff. Obviously Seinfeld, some of the all
Yes.
timer episodes he wrote. You look in the credits, some of the best Seinfeld episodes he wrote. But Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's been really cool. I think it just announced it's going off the air. I think it's the last season coming up. But yeah, it's really cool
Yes.
to watch him sort of the improv style, which you say you enjoy. Of course, also Master of None. We have to hit that really quick because I think you played the aunt. You were Angela Bassett's sister, right? And that one,
Yes.
I think that particular episode won an Emmy for the best written episode that year. Lena Waithe and Aziz Ansari, some of the great writers of our time. But yeah, memories of that experience. Working with their genius writing alongside the legendary Angela Bassett.
Yeah, I think, I want to take credit for them winning the Emmy. I was like, look, I wasn't in any other episode, but the one episode, you guys won the Emmy. I wish I'd have won one too. So we had a good time. Me and Lena Waithe have become great friends. Aziz, I keep in touch with. Angela, of course. It was a phenomenal episode because it dealt with some real life issues, but we also, got to have fun because you're still dealing with funny people. And one of the best scenes, we're at the Thanksgiving table, and another improv moment. I was so tired of Aziz saying this line over and over again. I slammed my hand on the table and told him something, something, something. I can't, I'm not gonna cuss, but and just pass the daggone potatoes. That was not in the script, but I held it. Aziz held it. As long as you don't laugh, it was. And when they said cut, we fell out on the ground, and it made it into the episode. So a lot of fun.
That's great. Angela Bassett did the thing. Kym Whitley, the Potato King.
Yes, yes, we had a good time.
That is great.
And yeah, it was great. And then Lena Waithe went from there, and she put me on 20s, and then she produced my podcast called Kym, Kym, on Audible, that just won this huge award, and Variety named it one of the top podcasts of 2022.
Oh, plug it for us. What's it called? Because this interview you're listening to is going to go on our podcast, but we'd love to cross-reference and promote yours. What's it called?
Absolutely. It's called Kym, Kym. It's a podcast, but it's like a sitcom for your ears. It's that kind of podcast where it's a story, and we had 8 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Lena Waithe did it, and everyone, Variety loved it, and that was that. But it's on Audible, available on Audible.
Gotcha. So it's like a narrative. It's actually a scripted podcast. I like episodic. Yes. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. See, I should have talked to you before. I love that scripted podcast. That's what it is. But then I also have, my podcast with Sherry Shepherd called Two Funny Mamas, and we've won 2 NAACP Image Awards, and we just have a good time on that also.
Speak about your friendship with Sherry really quick, because you've mentioned her a couple times, and obviously, very, very, very talented in her own right. A lot of us, got to know her through when she was on The View, of course, but so many other things. But yeah, why do you think the two of you sort of just get along so well? Was it instant, chemistry?
You know what? We've been friends for a very long time. We started way back in the day, stand up together. We lived across from each other, but she became a mom. I'm a mom of boys. She has a boy, I have a boy. And then our friendship grew, and especially during the pandemic. She was like, you know what? We should give back to people that are lonely. We have nothing to do. Let's do a podcast. And we got together, said Two Funny Mamas. And it drops every Thursday. It's on YouTube and where you can listen to podcasts, and we have so much fun. And now we've turned it into stand-up. We just left Dallas. We do a whole stand-up tour together that we actually go out together for 15 minutes, and then we split up, and she does stand-up, then I do stand-up, and then we come back together with 2 chairs on the stage, and we take questions. A lot of fun. So it's turned into more than just a podcast.
Awesome. Well, we'll plug it so people can, subscribe and listen to that. I have a funny podcast observation that just dawned on me. Is I feel like in the early days of podcasts, we would always say, and you can get it and iTunes, Spotify, Apple, you would list all of them. But nowadays everyone just says wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever you watch the shows, the podcast, figure it out. You'll find it. We're on YouTube. We're everywhere. You're right. We have no particular place.
Yeah, I just find that's unique to podcasts. I don't know why. With TV shows, when they say, and streaming on HBO or Max and Disney Plus, they don't just say, you find it.
you will find it. Yeah. So therefore, me and Sherry are great friends. We I steal her wigs. She steals my wigs. So we'll borrow clothes. It's one of those like sisterhoods. We argue. We were arguing over a joke, the whole Cat Williams thing. We were arguing about that because she says I took her joke. I said you took my joke. So it was a whole thing. So we're very good friends.
Yeah, except you have to watch the YouTube version to see the wigs, because if you're stealing each other's wigs and swapping wigs on the podcast, we can't tell.
That is true. You definitely have to watch it to see it. But, we talk about it a lot.
Like, she sounds like her hair is different today.
That is, wait a minute. You trying to be funnier than me? I love you. That was funny.
Well, there's no getting funnier than you, but.
No, I think I'm gonna have to steal that.
you feel free to put it in the act at where the hell are you coming?
The DC Comedy Law.
Feel free to
DC
put that in.
Comedy Loft
Yeah.
all weekend. Please get your tickets at dccomedyloft.com. We got 5 shows. Please come out. And we have Andre Lavelle, another comic, and Alicia Cooper. And no telling who's going to drop in. I love the DC Comedy Loft because it's kind of quaint and we just have fun. I haven't been here in over 2 years.
I love it. And that would be the perfect place to leave it because we brought it back around. But I just realized I didn't even ask you about any of your movies, and we did all your TV shows. But real quick, memories of Next Friday. People love the Friday franchise, but
I
how much fun was that?
You know what? Had I known it was going to be this big, I think I would have been even crazier. It was fantastic working with Ice Cube and, of course, with Mike Epps and DC Curry. People know me as Sugar. My whole life, people are like, Sugar, Sugar. And, I missed Friday After Next because I was filming another movie at the same time called Delivers from Eva. And I'm so mad I missed, the next chance. And right now, a lot of people have passed. So, Ice Cube can't really do another one. He's been wanting to do The Last Friday for quite some time. So who knows? We might be doing it and we're all going to be on a walker and a cane, but we might be able to do it.
I think you could, and it's just, and we don't have time to go into all the movies, but I'm just looking down your credits. The legends, the comedy legends that you've worked with. I mean, Eddie Murphy and Nutty Professor, and Ben Stiller, Along Came Polly, and Jim Carrey, Fun with Dick and Jay. Like, you go down the list, and it's like all of the great comedians of the last, I don't know, 2 decades. You've been in movies with them. That's incredible.
I never even thought about that. Thank you for reminding me. I forget, and those were some of my best times. They don't call me back anymore. I haven't talked to any of them. No,
Oh,
but
you're still doing stuff. You just did You People last year. That was a big Netflix hit with a
I
bunch
did.
of Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Eddie Murphy, and Jonah Hill. Like, that was big.
I know, but you know what? It was Kenya Barris, and that's another great person. But Kenya will call me. People don't know this, So I would have loved to have had a bigger part in that movie.
Mm.
But Kenya literally called me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, just got back in town." And he said, "Can you come do this movie?" Just like that. I said, "What?" He said, "You're gonna play this part. Just say whatever." That's called trust.
Yeah.
And I love him for that. And we just had a great time. So big ups to him.
Yeah, I mean the big ups. The creative Blackish knows what he's doing. So if he trusts you,
Yes.
then that works. All right. Well, I really appreciate you joining us. Is there anything else? I mean, we teased the podcast. Any other upcoming things we want to tease? I know you're doing, what is it, a docuseries, Raising Whitley on OWN. You got a freeform sitcom, Young and Hungry, coming out. You got a movie, Fist Fight. Like, do you want to plug any of the other upcoming stuff?
I Act Your Age is going to be coming out on Netflix probably in April. It had a run on Bounce TV, but please look out for that. Act Your Age is with Tisha Campbell and Bette Nicole Brown. It broke records with 2.14 million viewers on Bounce, and now Netflix has it. So looking forward to that and doing stand up across the country and being in DC this weekend. That's
Absolutely.
it.
And real quick, on a serious note, I just read you did a Don't Feed Me campaign to raise awareness for food allergies, which is very important to my immediate household.
Wow.
Why was that? I feel like it's, and I don't want to bring down the mood, but I just feel like so many shows, it's Will Smith and Hitch. It's treated as comedy. His face blows up and they drink the Benadryl, and it's treated as a comedy, but it is a serious issue. So why was that so important to you?
Well, my son found out he was allergic to peanuts and strawberries and milk, and you send him off to a birthday party and people don't know, or someone comes to watch him, they don't know. So I created these T-shirts where you write the child's name. It says "Don't feed Joshua," and then it has a list of things that you check off, and you can get your T-shirts at don'tfeedme.org. And then I put a bag together because I put the allergy med, the EpiPen and Benadryl in this bag. And then it says, what the child is allergic to. And this was just something I found that it was a need. Then I found out with autistic children, even autistic adults, a lot of them ordered it. So I had to make an adult line. Because you're right, it's a serious issue. I left a babysitter. Thank God I was home that day. And she was new and she was in the kitchen and she gave my son peanut butter and I heard him coughing.
Oh, no.
And that's when I ran in and I said, "What happened?" She said, "I just gave him peanut butter and jelly." And I grabbed the EpiPen, I called the doctor, and she said, "Just chug that Benadryl in him first. And if his tongue swells, and hit them with the pen. But that was a frightening moment for me. And there
Ah,
has to be a way to let new people know, hey, watch it. Don't feed them this. So I've seen a lot of people come behind me and try to mimic it. I've seen on the internet, but the original is don'tfeedme.org. We have all sizes, and it's really helped. It's all about. It wasn't not about making money. It's really about helping people.
wow, thanks for raising awareness on the serious side, and then on the funny side, we got to end on a laugh. It looks like all that
Yes,
t-shirt making paid off on the steps of Georgia Avenue. You were making t-shirts
hilarious.
back then, and now you're doing it again.
Oh my God, you're brilliant. I didn't even think about that. I was making t-shirts. And
It
now
was
I'm
all
making
leading to this
t-shirts.
moment.
It was all leading to this moment. Absolutely hilarious. I wish I'd have been making wigs, because then I'd really be rich. Woo! The
Yeah,
hair did this country.
I can just
Yeah.
hear the wig coming through the radio. I can just hear.
Oh yeah, I have on new hair right now.
See, and you just put it on. I could tell.
Yeah, I could. I know you got great ears. Great
Yeah,
ears. Now
exactly.
tell me, is my hair curly or straight? What do you hear? What do you hear?
I'm hearing curls.
Woo! You are good.
Yep. See, I
Woo!
told you I could hear it. Yep, I could hear it. But
You've
anyway,
been
everyone can, see you live in person. The wigs, whatever you got, they can see you live in person all weekend long. 5 shows at the DC Comedy Loft. I think they also call it the Beer Baron Tavern. There's like a bar. I think there's like a bar attached to it downstairs. But either way,
yes.
it's going to be a really fun run of shows. So thank you so much for joining us. It was so much fun.
Thank you so much. I had a great time with you. I will talk to you next time. Great interview, too. Great interview.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.